Okay, so in my opinion, the new 4.7 Spiral Abyss is the hardest abyss we've had since the beginning of the game, and it's not even close. So after doing clears with my very well built 5-star units, I noticed that the time left to clear each chamber was relatively low. So to make sure that the abyss was actually hard, I tried it with only 4-star units and 4-star weapons. And boy, oh boy, I wasn't ready. I did it with a Rosaria Reverse Melt team on the first half and an OG Sucrose Taza team on the second. And it took me many tries to clear it. Technically, I cheated a little bit because I kept my Bennett with his Aquila R2 because I was too lazy to level up my Ali Flash that you can see here. Yeah, it's on Lynette. But at the same time, my Kea isn't maxed, as you can see here. He's level 80 and the talents are 8-8, so he's far from being super leveled, so there's that. I'm pretty sure in your case, using 5-star units or weapons will make runs way easier. The goal of this video is just to show you how I did it with these two teams and give you an overall strategy for the different enemies that we have to fight. So let's get right into it with the gameplay. I'll be commenting what I was doing and why I was doing it, and hopefully this could help some of you guys out there. So for the first chamber, first half, we start with the 3 Doritos. I chose to focus the middle one because using my ults there can hit all 3. And then after that, I focus the one on my right because the far left one will get close to you as you are DPSing, so you don't need to lose too much time chasing it. For the Ruin Gods after, I chose to go and take him down instantly. Ideally, if you can, set up your ults more towards the west side of the chamber where the 2 Ruin Drakes will spawn to not lose too much time. By the way, I tried the strategy of hugging the wall on the far east of the chamber around the area where the Pokemon trainers will spawn, and it wasn't very successful. I don't really recommend it. I found that DPSing the Ruin Drakes right away was way more effective. They can have horrendous RNG in terms of positioning. From my multiple tries, I found that sitting in between them was the best to group them and damage them faster. Then for the Pokemon trainers, try to focus the left one and go for their summons right away to put them in their weakened state. It's really worth it as you will lose too much time if you ignore the pets. For the second half, we start with the 2 Pyromage and the Dendro Samatrol. I chose to focus the Samatrol first because he can really grief this specific team with his Dendro summons. Then I took care of the 2 Pyromages. The 2 Pyro Lectors spawn right after, and the key here is 2 things. Try to keep them grouped and try to balance the damage between the 2 in a way where you can beat their first phase and make them spawn their ominous stars at the same time. This is really important because otherwise you would lose too much time doing it one by one, and believe me, it's tempting sometimes to just go full ham on one and ignore the other, but that strategy won't be effective. To take down the ominous stars and the Lector's shields, Hydro is the most effective element, but Electro also does very well. After that, 2 Black Serpent Knights will appear. Not much to say about them except that they will obtain an attack buff and the ability to blink away from the next attack upon hitting a shielded player. They might troll you by splitting up, or sometimes one of them just being totally AFK on the other side of the chamber, so don't hesitate to use groupers like Kazuha or Sucrose as it can save you a lot of time. For the second chamber first half, we have our beloved Magukenki and the eternity he takes to wake up. Use that time to charge up your ultimates, if not full, or to set up the buffs for your main DPS. For this abyss, the Magukenki is centered in the chamber, so you can't really use the strategy where we could trap him with the wall anymore. Editing the LD here, actually you can keep the Magukenki trapped in the middle with you. If you have Zhongli, put the pillar behind him after he does his big attack, and basically that will prevent him from TPing out. and you can DPS him for free. I didn't try it with the other characters like GOMC, but yeah, if you have Zhongli, I know it works. Now back to the video. So what I found effective after his first phase was to wait for his TP, aggro him but not use my ultimates yet, and just wait for him to TP away again. His RNG may change from time to time, but that's the main pattern that I witnessed during my runs. It's really important to not waste your ults, especially if you are playing teams relying on Bennett Circle like Rational, Arlecchino teams, Navia teams, and so on. If you don't rely on Circle Impact, this advice doesn't really matter. Just DPS him and take him down as fast as possible. Other thing, if you're using this specific team, is to try to rotate anti-clockwise, because it tends to get you a few more hits on your jungling Pyronado. For the second half, we start with the two Kairagis, and again, similar to the Pyrolectors earlier, try to take them down together by balancing the damage you are doing to both of them. In my case here, I got lucky that the second one was locked in the animation of the attack, so I could kill him before he regenerates his HP. After that, we get two Suppression Specialist mech, and similar to the Serpent Knight earlier, these guys can troll you and split super far from each other. Try to keep them grouped by attacking them from the side and using grouping abilities if possible. The next wave is two Geo Rift Hounds that are notorious for their horrendous RNG. Sometimes they will just sit there and being AFK doing nothing, and sometimes they will be going in all directions. You can hug the wall to try to group them, but I tried that multiple runs and it wasn't super effective for me. So yeah, I just brute forced my way in, and yeah, it was good enough in my case. For the last wave, I chose to ignore the construction mech, the big rotating one, and focus on the two others, as the big one tend to always come toward you and chase you. Once again, try to balance the damage between the enemies, but also try to abuse the Abyss Blessing by spamming normal attacks. This will help you tremendously. For the last chamber on the first half, we have a Simon, a big chunky boy with 2.2 million HP. That is a bit annoying for this Rosaria reverse meld team, because we don't have neither Electro or Dendro to fight his invisible state. As a reminder, Quicken is really effective against this boss because triggering the reaction paralyzes it and allow for longer DPS windows against it. Even when you don't have Dendro, using Electro can also be very helpful because you can just apply the element on one of the repair parts during its invisible state and it will reveal it. So yeah, not having the two elements only leaves us with one strategy: wait and DPS assignments when it comes out of Invis. If this strategy doesn't work for you, remember that you can always restart the chambers with a better suited team like Aggravate or Hyperbloom just to clear this very chamber. For the second side, the first wave is relatively easy to clear. Just make sure to kill the Pyro Slingers before they pop their shields. Again, using grouping abilities here is clutch because it saves a lot of time. After that, we get two waves with each time one consecrated beast and two enemies with them. In both waves, try to focus the enemies that come with the consecrated beast. Both the vulture and the scorpion will hunt you down. Meanwhile, either the seahorses or the crabs can go to Narnia, and you can find yourself killing the consecrated beast while not doing enough damage to the other enemies and wasting time. Also, at some point, the consecrated beast will do a big attack. Be always ready for that, either by keeping an ultimate to use it as an iframe or dodging accordingly. After that big attack, there will be a crystal that spawns. Do elemental attacks to take it down and put the consecrated beast in a weakened state. For the vulture, one single pyro attack can get rid of it, or 6 non-pyro elemental attacks. And for the scorpion, it's the same thing, but with electro. As you can see here, if I didn't focus the crabs, I would have wasted way too much time just killing the scorpion. And as you can see here, the crabs have insane placement, but yeah. And that's it for me. I'll leave you with the different character builds. If you have any question or suggestion, feel free to comment below, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!